Hey everyone, Krista here. So today I'm going to be showing you how I would replace elastics in this coat. There's different methods I use for replacing elastics depending on where it's going and what's already existing there. This coat I would do different than this coat because this coat has the elastic on the outside and this coat has the elastic hidden on the inside. So we'll do the blue one some other time, but for now I'm doing this one just because I'm already doing it. Okay, so uh, I already have one sleeve done. I done this one just then and I took pictures of it so that I could upload the pictures as well as a video. Some people like one or the other and some people like both. So, um, okay, so this is the elastic that came out of the sleeve that I just finished, and you can tell that it's old and dry rotted and everything. And I have elastic that's the same size. I usually keep all the different sizes on hand. Um, we got like thicker ones right down to the little itty bitty ones. So for this one, um, you can see how much difference it makes with the new elastic. This one had like no stretch at all, and this one got all kinds of stretch. It's actually kind of messy how they leave it, and this is the one that I fixed. So I think it looks pretty good. It's all lined up. It looks really neat, and best of all, it's cinched up so it's not baggy. Okay, so the first step is we have to get rid of the old stitching. Now, I will say that you can also, which is another method I used to do. I never used to take out the old stitches. I used to, especially if it's not a cabbie, like actual Cabbage Patch Kid clothes. I used to just, depending on how it is, I just would slice this and leave all this intact. But it just looks so much nicer when it's all fitted, and it's really not hard. And I'm not even going to use a sewing machine for any of this. I'm going to do it all by hand. That way, if anybody don't have a sewing machine, they can still do this. All you need is a needle and thread and the elastic. Normally, I would use just my little clippers, or you can use a seam ripper if you have a seam ripper. I think that's pretty much all I'll end up using. So first off, we just get rid of all the old thread. So just any of this thread that's up here. You don't have to go all the way down the sleeve, obviously. All we're going to do is release the elastic, the cuff, so that we can get that elastic out. So I'm just going to start ripping apart these threads, and hopefully it don't take too long. If it do take a bit longer, I don't usually rush through any of this, and to be honest, I usually am watching TV or something while I'm doing it, so I don't actually know how long it would normally take me to do this. So if this ends up being really long, to save you all the boredom of sitting here watching me pulling a thread, I might end up editing some of this out. Or knowing me, I'll probably just ramble through it all and bore you all to death. So I'm just going to go along and pull out all these threads. There's the thread going down the center first. This one holds the joins in place. So I tried to do this in the daytime, but I ended up getting really busy today and I didn't get around to it. And now it's like after midnight, so it could be a little lighter here, which would make it a little easier, but whatever, life happens. But if you got a coffee or something, or a tea or hot chocolate, just sit back and enjoy. Or if you got a coat, you can follow along. Or a sleeve that you need that got the same type of cuff. You can follow along with me. Okay, so the middle part is released. And this one actually went down a bit, so but I can fix all that. But they actually missed it in their stitching because I only went down to the hair and this much released. But that's quite okay. None of that will matter. We'll fix all of that. All it takes is a little bit of thread. So I'm just gonna snip some of this away so that I can see. Get rid of all this gross stuff. So much of it. All right, so that's the release. So now we can see the two ends of the elastics. So now there's also a little bit of thread on each side that holds the elastic in place. When I replaced the other sleeve, I wasn't going to do these threads. I was just going to put it together, but it actually is easier to just give it a little sew in place. That way you're not struggling to keep the elastics in the spot that you want it while you're bonding the ends together. But let's just go along and cut all these out. And seriously, removing the thread is probably the longest part of all of this. Once the thread is gone, it's not a whole lot to it. And like I said, I never used to do that before. I used to just, especially if it's not cabbie clothes, because it don't matter so much to me, I would just like cut a little piece here, cut the thread, the elastic, pull it out, put a new one in, and then just either sew it or leave it. But then I started doing this and I realized it's not that hard, and it makes it look spectacular because it looks brand new again. Okay. I hope you can't hear the TV because I don't want it to. Let's just see how much I got released here. Because I don't want the TV to distract, but I also kind of need the TV when I'm doing stuff. Like having the, I don't know, I can't handle silence or something. I don't know. I always got the TV on or the music on in the background. Okay. And these coats over the years, they on the ends, I mean, they ravel a bit, but it's okay because they're a mess anyway. Like, look at all this. It all like, can you see that? It all ravels on the inside, but we can also clean up all that. usually once I get it all done, I'll go around and check all over, and any loose threads or anything like that I'll clean up just to make it all look right pretty. Okay. And like I said, this is literally the longest part. Especially if you're like me and you're kind of like colorblind, because I have a hard time seeing the thread sometimes. Yeah. Yeah. See? So now, with that thread gone, that releases the elastic inside. So now, just do it with the other side. This side won't be hard, but it looks like it was half it was falling away anyway. Well, that one's not gonna be near as hard. Sure as all, it's all coming apart. There, see? Nothing to it. So, now that the elastic is free on both sides, you could pull this all out and get a needle with a wider head, or what do they call it? An eye. Obviously, I'm not much of a seamstress. But you could get a needle with a wide eye and put that in and feed the needle through and pull the elastic through. But I found that was kind of like, as you're putting the needle in, you're hitching and stuff and hooking, and I just found this method to be a little easier. So what I do is, once it's loose, I just take the end of my new one and I just do a little quick attachment just so I can pull it through. And one little tip is, make sure, it don't really matter how secure it is, because it's only going to go through a little loop, but make sure your corners are secure so that it don't hook or anything. And once you just got that, it don't have to be, like I said, you're only pulling it through. It don't have to be really great, just enough that it stays together. So once that's done, then I take this side and I pull that one, and then I baby this one in through the opening, because this, again, like the threads, this will be the hardest part of getting the elastic in. Once you get it in that opening, you'll be able to slide it right through the rest of the way. And depending on how frayed the ends are, it'll be easier or harder then. Here we go. Get in there. Okay, so you see now how the new one is tucked inside. Once that's tucked inside, you just pull. It's so brittle, you can actually feel it like falling apart in my hands. But yeah. Just keep pulling it, pulling it, pulling it. And now, see, we got the new elastic is inside. Once the new elastic is through, I just snip off that end piece and we'll get rid of the old elastic. So now we have an elastic inside. Easy peasy. So now we'll take this little tiny end piece and we're going to secure that right to the end. That way we don't have to worry about the elastic shooting up inside and having to dig it out or anything like that. So once that's inside and it's nice and tight, unlike how the elastic was before where the elastic was like kind of out, we're going to keep it all flush and nice and clean. So now I'll take my red thread, red thread. So we'll take the red thread and all we'll do is just sew right along. I don't know if that's focusing in. I apologize because I can't really see my camera from the angle I'm on. But yeah, we'll just sew right along that edge so that you're going through the coat and the elastic, securing it all in place. And I usually just work my way right up the whole edge of the elastic. If you have a sewing machine, you can use the sewing machine. It's pretty much the same, except instead of doing it by hand, you'll be doing it with a sewing machine. Sometimes I actually find doing stuff by hand a little easier. Especially if it's something quick. Now, when I'm doing onesies and I'm doing the shorten them up, a lot of times I'll use the sewing machine just because it's easier to get a straight line with the machine versus trying to do it by hand and keeping it straight. I should keep working on this. Okay. So once that's done up now, so that won't come out because it's attached. So now we don't have to worry about that moving anywhere or going back up inside. And I just knotted it. I don't know. I just makes a knot with it like that to secure it in place. And cut that off. And I do my knots again right away so that when I goes to use my thread again. So I already knot it. And again, I'm not a professional seamstress or anything, so I'm sure there's probably easier ways to do stuff. These are just the methods I've been using because it's what works for me. And as I'm doing stuff, I learn as I'm going, and sometimes I'll change how I'm doing stuff, but this so far has been the easiest for me for this kind of elastic. And I'm not sure if I think I did mention, but it's now like almost 1 in the morning, so I apologize if I sound a bit tired or loopy or or whatever. But anywho, so now all we do is just cinch the material over the elastic, because that's what gives it the elasticity. Because if the elastic is pulled right tight, or as the material is pulled right over the elastic, it has nothing to stretch because the material is already as far as it can go. So when you cinch down the material over the elastic, that gives it leeway for it to stretch, right? So Now to get it the same size. Now I actually have this comb just works out to be um, pretty much the size of their wrist. So I usually kind of use that as a measurement. So when I do this, I'll cinch that down. So like you can just compare it to your other one once you get your first one done. But to do the second one, now I'll cinch this down and I'll put it on, like I'll put it on the doll, usually Sarah Jane. Say hi. And I'll actually put it on her and see how far I want it to go, and I'll just hold it and secure it in the size that I want. So that's probably about the size of this one, right? So double check that. Like they say, measure twice, cut once. So always double check. Every time I takes my hands off of it, I double checks it again before I sews it. So we'll keep that right there. And we'll grab the red. I got this is just a board that I got from the dollar store. It's a whiteboard, so I can, if I need to remember a measurement or a color, or especially because I'm colorblind. So I asked my husband, or I asked Ed a lot, like to help me with colors and stuff. So if I has to write anything down to remember it, I'll just write it down. And I also got magnets here to keep the sewing needles and stuff, because I don't even want to tell you how many times I have misplaced sewing needles, or um, had them lost in the blanket or my clothes. Oh, I'm going to have to make a bigger knot on that one. Yeah, so I loses a lot of needles, and I usually find them when I'm just about to sit down or something. So be careful with your needles. So yeah, so let's sew this one in place. I better check that because I want to make sure I didn't move it too much. Okay, so we'll just sew that up. I'm actually going to lock that one in because okay. But yeah, so we're almost finished. Like I said, removing the old stitching is the hardest part of all of this. Okay. Well, so once that's connected, now just do a little knot on the inside and try to like do all your knots and everything inside and not on the outside, so nothing is visible. And we'll just secure that knot, and we'll cut it, and we'll make our next knot. Okay. I do have a bunch of outfits here that I'm going to do stitches on, so I'm hoping to do this with all of them. Like I can do one sleeve or one pants leg or whatever prior to filming so that I can take pictures. And then I'll do the second one on film so that you can follow along. So now that both of them are secure, we'll cut away the rest of the elastic and clean up those little end pieces. Because make sure that we get all that little frayed areas away. Just so it looks so nice and neat. So, that's the elastic. Now all we gotta do is you take the sleeves, the ends, and you turn them in. You turn them in. So I don't know if that's focusing in or not. I might have to figure out a different way to have the camera when I'm doing this, but okay, so yeah, you just fold them in. So I'm gonna turn that inside out. So see that? So all we gotta do is sew these two ends together, and we'll sew down right from here, and we'll sew right down until we're down into the existing stitches, just to secure all of the middle in place. I'm not sure if it's, I think it's focusing. I apologize. Like I said, it's early in the morning or late at night, however you want to look at it. But anywho, let's move on. Not the right color. And we got our red. So we'll just make sure that your tops are in line so that they're not like squish, and just sew in, and you're going through both sleeves plus both of the elastics, and you just sew up to the top, making sure that once you got up to the top, it'll stay in place anyway. You won't have to worry about keeping it in place. And just don't poke your fingers. And go over the top. When you get to the top, go over the top and go in on the other side and draw it tight. That kind of keeps the end nice and clean. It keeps it held together better, I think I'm trying to say. If you don't go over the top with the thread, the top kind of splays open a bit. Whereas when you go over with the thread and pull it through, it'll keep the ends at the top secure and together, and it just looks neater. And then I just work my way back down so that that's secure. And then once I'm down to the end of the elastic, I'm going to continue along, right along the right along the seam, right until I get to the where the thread is not already out, just where we had that gap where there was missing thread. So just go right in that line, the existing line. Go down. Just like that. And once you reach the spot where the factory thread is, I usually just go like a little tiny bit down, just to kind of overlap them. And once I'm down to where there's no opening now, I'll just turn around and work my way back up. And that's just to keep it secure. Just because I'm overly cautious. I'm not saying that you got to do this. When you're doing stuff like this, you a lot of times you'll end up finding your own methods or what works for you, or you might use a combination of different stuff that different people show you. Just do whatever you find's easier, and don't be afraid to ask for help, or ask for, sometimes something might be obvious and it takes a fresh set of eyes to notice it. And then you just lock it in place with a knot. Lock it in place with a knot. And that's it. Once that's, snip that off. And then I'm going to go along and clean up all these loose stuff. Just because I think it would look so much nicer. Even though it's on the inside and it's hidden, but I know it's there. Okay. So now, that's the inside. And we'll flip it around. And that's the outside. And that's the seam. So yeah, doesn't look bad at all. Let's compare them to each other. Hopefully they're approximately the same size. All right. Not bad at all. Now, let's put it on Sarah Jane and see how it looks. Because before it was really baggy. And I do have pictures to show the before. Well, I have pictures of one side of it before because I'm horrible for forgetting to take before pictures. It's like, here we go. It's like I don't think about taking before pictures until after I'm already started it, and then it's usually too late. Oh, fix your necklace. I'm going to do up your coat. If the zipper. Let's see. Some of these zippers on these coats are tricky. Tricky. Especially if they go in a little bit squish. But a lot of this stuff is like 40 years old. I don't always work the way I should either. But yeah, so now her sleeves are so much better. Look how great that looks. And just like that, I think maybe the video is half hour. So it takes less than a half hour to fix one sleeve. So that's not bad. That coat actually got a little hitch in it, but it's okay. It is quite okay. So that's that coat done. Take that off of you. So yeah, so that'll be it in for this video. But if there's any tips or anything you can give me for the videos, I don't know if the lighting needs to be better, or I don't know. This is my first video, really, I guess. Even though I guess I've done like a few other videos, but this is gonna be the first one in the series of doing the elastics. How about that? And I don't know, maybe do I ramble too much? Should I keep it shorter? Or do you like the talking? Should I talk more? I don't know if you should give me permission to talk more, though. But anyway, I'm going to try to cut this short now so that it's not getting longer. But that's it for this this video for doing the hidden elastics that have like a pocket cuff. I think that's what you would call it. So anyway, I hope that is some help to you, someone, anyone. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. And if you need clarification on it, feel free to ask. But yeah, so hope you enjoy it, and hope you watch my upcoming videos. Okay, thanks. Bye.